Hey everybody, welcome to Children's Chapel on the Feast of St. Michael and All Angels. I am magically appearing to you on this screen as I'm also preaching a sermon in the church right now. Don't ever forget that Father Chris is magic. I'm going to read to you the story of St. Michael from the book of Revelation that we're reading in the church today. And while I read it, you're going to see images of art of Michael and all the great things that he does. A reading from the Revelation to John. Now war arose in heaven, Michael and his angels fighting against the dragon. And the dragon and his angels fought, but they were defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent, who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. And I heard a loud voice in heaven saying, "Now the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ have come. For the accuser of our brethren has been thrown down, who accuses them day and night before our God. They have conquered him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. For they loved not their lives even unto death. Rejoice then, O heaven, and you that dwell therein. But woe to you, O earth and sea. For the devil has come down to you in great wrath, because he knows that his time is short." The word of the Lord.
Now war arose in heaven, Michael and his angels fighting against the dragon. And the dragon and his angels fought back, but he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. What do you think of when you think of an angel? Does that angel look sweet and kind, or does it look fierce? Lots of times in the Bible, we see angels talking to people, and the first thing they say is, "Do not be afraid." That is because they are warriors. They are fierce. And when we think of the devil, we think of a little red creature with an angry, frightening face. But we know from the Bible that the devil is actually quite beautiful, able to tempt us and deceive us. St. Michael, would you join us again? What sort of things do you get tempted by? If before dinner, when you're wanting to sneak a snack, do you choose a can of green beans or the tasty cupcake that's on the counter?
Well, I'm tempted with the tasty cupcake because it looks delicious and I know it will taste delicious. But the harder thing to do is to enjoy the green beans. And here's the lesson, the important thing. We are tempted to things that are vices. We're never tempted to our virtues. Virtues are always the harder thing to do, and that takes courage. And because it takes courage, so often we think of angels, and the Bible talks about angels as soldiers, as warriors, because that exemplifies the courage it takes to do the right thing.
Thank you.
Of course.
So we know how this story ends. Our story began with war breaking out in heaven, and we know how it ends. We know that Jesus died on the cross for all the sins that had been committed at that time and all the sins that would ever be committed. So even when we're tempted, even when we fail, we know that Jesus has already secured our salvation and that win for us.
Today I'm going to do a St. Michael's craft. So you've got your canvas, your wings. I would get a pencil, some blue tape, gold paint or whatever color you want. I'm going to use gold today, and some Sharpies. So the first thing I want to do is place my wings in the center of my canvas for measuring. And once I like them where they are, I'm going to then draw down the middle a sword. So here's an example of my sword. I did it in pencil first. It doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to paint over it in whatever color you want. But you start with a cross in the middle, and then you kind of add some handles and make it into a triangle below. And then you'll want to line these up before you glue them down and paint them first. Then I used a Sharpie to go over it before I painted it. I turned that cross into a sword, and I kind of lined it up with the top of the wings, and I took the sword above the wings. Then you'll want to glue down your wings after you paint them on either side of the sword. Then you'll want to take the blue tape and put it on the canvas so that there's a little bit of white showing, see, on each edge, depending on how much gold you want to go around the edges. So that way, when you turn it to paint it, you'll paint this side right here, and then you'll paint just a little edge across the top. And so where the tape was too long from tearing it, I just kind of folded it back, and I'll go around with gold and paint this entire thing on the edges. And then when I remove the tape, it will have a pretty little border around it. After you peel off the tape, it'll look like this. Then you'll need to paint your wings. So I just put them on a little plate. I'm gonna paint one side gold. Glue down your wings, and then you can paint your sword or add whatever you want to your canvas.